Boyfriend 42 of 5 months fooled around with my 38 best friend 42 of 10 years in my bed. I don't know how to handle it. So, this all started after an amazing day. My BFF came over to hang out and meet my boyfriend. A few other friends were over, but they eventually left and it was just us three left. This is not an uncommon scenario. This friend and I have known each other for most of our lives. But we got super close 10 years ago when we both were pregnant at the same time. During part of our friendship, we were both married and would hang out at times almost every day at one of our houses. She is still married. I am divorced. We also do a lot of joint sleepovers with our kids and have for years because we both have girls of similar ages. Nothing has ever happened with either of us and the other person's husband or boyfriend. Ever. This time was different. We all started drinking. My BF is not a big drinker. My friend is. But she stopped drinking for January and has only drank a handful of times. I don't know if that contributed because their tolerance was lower. I don't know. All I know is we drank a ton of wine. I woke up on the couch and had a pillow and blanket. I walked upstairs and my door was locked. I had to kind of break the door handle a bit to open it. Luckily it is an older house. When I came in, both my BF and my friend were in the bed together. But on opposite ends. Not touching or anything. I thought it was weird that they were both in the bed together and the door was locked. And I wasn't really sure why it wasn't both us girls or me and my BF up there. I woke up my BF and asked why I was left on the couch and he said that I had passed out and there was nowhere else for them to sleep. So they both slept in my bed and passed out. He told me to get in the bed with them and I did between them. My friend was still asleep. So I get in between them and then I realize he is in his underwear. I am like WTF and asked him why he was in his underwear with my friend. He said he always sleeps in his underwear and he was drunk and not thinking. So, then I kind of lift the covers and see my friend is in her thong. This girl and I have slept together many a time after drinking and she has never slept in a thong. So, I ask him about it and he confesses that they may have fooled around some. So, after about 24 hours of talking about this, processing it, etc. This is what I have been told by my BF. He says we were all just talking and having a great time when I suggested a threesome. My friend was rubbing on my leg and he said I looked like I was going to make out with her. He said we all started talking about it. And then I got tired and went to sleep. He went and got me a pillow. He was going to go, he said. But my friend told him to go stay in the bed and she would stay on the floor. He told her not to do that. That she should sleep in the bed. He said he had every intention of her sleeping in the bed, and him leaving. But she said she wasn't ready to go to bed yet, and wanted to drink more wine. So they drank wine and talked. He says he is not sure what happened. But they started fooling around and I do know he played with her boobs. He wouldn't really go into a lot of detail because he said I don't want to know the details. He said he is pretty sure he pulled off her pants. But he did say he is sure that they didn't have sex and that his pants didn't come off because he had to go to the bathroom. He went to the bathroom and came out and saw her with her butt in the air with a thong on and then he felt sick so he went to the bathroom and threw up all over the place. Including all over his clothes. He said that is why he was in his underwear when I came up because he threw up all over his pants and shirt. After that, he said he got on the other end of the bed from my friend on the edge. I know he threw up because even though he tried to clean it up in his drunken state, he didn't do a perfect job. He tried to have sex with me that morning while we were in the bed with her and right after I found out they had fooled around he was still drunk but I was pretty repulsed and kicked him out. When my friend woke up, he was gone and I was in the bed next to her. She was in a hurry to leave because she was running late for something. So I haven't spoken to her about it. I also think she may have wet the bed. Which she has never done before. I do think she was incredibly drunk. A few important details. This friend and I did have a threesome once before years ago with a guy we met downtown. It was a one-night stand kind of thing and neither of us ever talked to him again or about it to each other. So I do think the suggesting a threesome thing was probably true. But my BF and I have discussed threesomes before and I told him I would not feel comfortable with him with another girl since he and I are in a relationship. He has said if we ever did decide to do one, he would be okay with just watching me and the other girl and just having sex with me. So in no way should he have felt that a threesome condones sex with her. He claims he hasn't ever done anything like this before and he says he was honest. He was crying talking to me about it later in the evening. I do pretty much believe his account is true. But I just don't know. He did say that knowing she and I have had a sexual thing in the past made him feel a little better about what he did. But I don't personally think it changes anything he did at all. He said not to blame her. Which makes me feel like he started it, but who knows? Honestly, I'd get out now. If he's acting like this after 5 months, I'd hate to see what he gets into after a couple years. Drinking is not an excuse for either of them. Hey, just a side story which kinda fits your narrative. I've been with my husband since 2014. Ever since I met him, it's like I found my person. We went from being best friends pretty much straight away to being in a loving relationship and changing our Facebook statuses. After 3 months, I never had any reason to suspect he wasn't faithful or in a relationship. We lived in a major city at the time and he was always close by and ready to introduce me to his family, etc. So like I say, I never had an inclination. In July I got a very strange Instagram message from a lady who told me she'd been with my husband first in 2013, 2014 and that he cheated on her with me. She asked if I knew and I replied I'd never had any idea. Essentially we worked out I was the other woman for 9-10 months. I confronted my husband and he readily admitted he'd cheated but told me I was the best thing that ever happened to him and that he is a different person. He'd never cheat on me. I believe him completely. His 3 hobbies are fishing, driving, and me. He is so engaged and loving and attentive and has always had an open phone, gradually deleted social media over the years, etc. However, I'm plagued by feeling dirty and I can't forgive him for knowingly dragging me into this horrible place, and knowing our relationship was born from cheating makes me feel so small and horrible. I can't look at him the same, and although he's apologized many times and has cautiously suggested therapy, I'm not sure where to go from here. I feel like I would be stupid to throw away the love of my life and an honestly wonderful man over this, but I'm considering a separation at least until I've worked out my own feelings about this. My dad was a serial cheater and I'm having visions of my husband in the future doing the same thing again, even though rationally I know he's also invested. This relationship, how do I move forward from here? Hey, hope I can come to some clarity with my story intertwined with yours. I snooped my husband's Facebook on Thursday and found months of sweetheart messages between him and a woman he used to know. He tried to deny and twist what I saw and flip it on me for snooping, so as soon as he admitted it and apologized, I was so relieved that he wasn't mad at me I basically forgave him right then and there. Now, a few days later, the things he said to her in text and the things he said to me when he was denying it are really bothering me, and I feel like I can't bring it up or it will seem like I'm trying to milk it for more validation or something. Maybe I just need someone to talk to or somewhere to get it off my chest, hence this post. My husband suffers from chronic pain and is often extremely irritable and depressed. This means we have periods of time where he pulls away, and honestly I avoid him because he has nothing nice to say and basically makes me feel like he hates his life, which makes me feel awful being his wife and the mother of his child pregnant with a second. I should say he always remains patient and kind to our daughter but is cold to me when he's going through a bad time. We were going through a period of this a few weeks ago when I reached out to him with a note saying how lonely I felt. Surprisingly, he came around a few days later and started being kind and engaging with me again. About a week later, Thursday, my husband borrowed my phone to go into the city because it has an unlimited data plan. So when I needed to use the internet to look something up, I used his tablet. I noticed Facebook was left open and I snooped. I opened Facebook Messenger and the first thing I saw was a questionable conversation with a woman I didn't know. His most recent message to her was from Sunday and it said that he didn't want her to think he was going behind anyone's back to be flirting with her. I couldn't understand what that meant necessarily, but I was obviously hit with panic. I scrolled up to get some context and was shocked to read that he was explaining his child situation by claiming that he had 2 women he had kids with. One who he had his daughter with and one who was pregnant now. But that he was not involved with either of them. I am the mother of both children and we are married and live together. After gathering my wits, I realized I couldn't stand waiting for him to get home to confront him, and I called him right there. We had one of the conversations that is still bothering me. When I told him I saw his Facebook, he played dumb and waited to see how much I knew before acknowledging anything. He also, of course, got mad at me for invading his privacy. When I told him what I read, he tried to say that I didn't understand the context. That he was referencing someone else in regards to the child situation and that he was saying he was flirting in that message sarcastically. He said I was embarrassing him by forcing him to take this call in a public place, and that if I wouldn't stop snooping his Facebook he just wouldn't come home. I started crying and I said I would stop if he promised that he would look through the messages with me when he got home and explain them. He agreed. Okay, so I lied. Now I was worried that I'd messed up big and there really was nothing bad despite what it looked like. I scrolled back through about 4 months of hi yes and we should get together sometime type comments from both sides. Pictures of her twins. Pictures of his plants. And it honestly was all pretty innocent until toward the very beginning where my husband wrote out a long few messages about how he was struck by her when he first met her. She was beautiful inside and out. And always had a crush on her and wondered how things would have been different if he told her sooner. I am not sure how many years ago it was that they initially met, but it was probably before he and I were married, but maybe while we were dating, which is why he never was with this person. It was enough to make me definitely sure that he was not sarcastic when he'd said he was flirting and that he was not referencing something when he said that he and I weren't together or that I didn't really even exist kind of. He called me back and asked if he should come home right now, but I told him no. He had plans with friends he doesn't get to see often. He started explaining that he felt bad for this girl and that he talked to her when she called him crying on the phone late at night sometimes, and that no woman was a threat to me and that he'd never made any plans to meet up with her, so I shouldn't be upset like he cheated on me. Then he said if he really was a dog, wouldn't he go for someone else, not someone who looked like her? That really rubbed me the wrong way for multiple reasons. I responded that there's more he could be getting out of it than that, but he scoffed and said that that's not how men work. If he's getting nothing out of it, then why lie and encourage it to continue? He said again that he must have been referencing her ex or something. I told him we'd talk when we got home. He said he would delete Facebook since he can't get any privacy on it anyway, and I told him he was missing the point. He came home long after I'd gone to bed, but I woke up an hour early so I could talk to him before work. When he saw me awake, he said he would talk, but he needed to take a shower. I told him I would shower with him because we really needed to talk. When I asked him again why he had told this girl that we weren't together, he said he didn't remember saying that and he didn't know. He said that he would delete Facebook since he couldn't be trusted not to get drunk and do regrettable things. He seemed genuinely regretful for being weak and for hurting our marriage, and while I had his attention and concern, I couldn't help but bring up how lonely and rejected I felt most of the time, and he comforted me and gave me a lot of affection that I'd been missing. For the next few days he was sweet to me, but now he is being cold again and I feel like a dupe and like I can't trust him. I wish I had gotten home to go through the messages and just see his face while he read the sweet messages he wrote about her being beautiful inside and out. It really bothers me how romantic he was to her and how quickly he threw shade on her looks when I found out about her. I feel bad that I am so lonely and want his love so bad that I forgave him in like 5 minutes of talking to him face to face. I feel like this is just going to happen again next time he decides I am to blame for the chilly periods in our marriage when he is irritable and cold to me. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.